I guess first just be health.
We prefer it. Yeah, I said in the post game in Ruston, like you can't ever change when the game is played, right? Like I made the comparison: if Sean Newman gets hurt with 18:33 to go, and Collins in, maybe it's different. I don't know, but I don't ever want to be an excuse-riddled program, and you just gotta play the hand you're dealt, and love the character of our group, and so yeah, I'd love to have Isaiah Enan out there. Colin has not practiced all week. He will play tomorrow, but it's important for especially the amount of minutes that those guys are logging. It's important that I think they get the proper rest time or rehabilitation time to feel like they are free-minded. Because whenever you're injured or you're feeling it, like I don't think you can ever be at your best.
I feel like you're not a coach to panic, but how do you manage that concern of those guys logging so many minutes and not having a very deep bench? Do you have conversations with some of those guys on the bench, like, hey, I need you to step up, or
I trust our bench. I think they can be more productive, but I don't worry about the minutes. You guys, if you ask them, they'd want to play 40. Like they'd want to play 40 minutes a game, and it only rears its ugly head because we think like, okay, this is an admission from last year. I think we wore Colin and Caden last year, but we have more behind them this year. So I just think I don't think they have the same taxation and they're a year older. So I'm gonna play the minutes that I think guys need to play for us to win the game. But I'm very well aware that the more guys off the bench play, the better opportunity we have to program develop and get those guys some rest for end of games. That being said, I'm not going to sacrifice what I think is the best opportunity for us to win to play guys minutes that are so that we can develop for the future.
You mentioned the timing of the games. Obviously, Conference USA has the repeated schedule where it's usually 2 games in 48 hours on the weekend. Does that obviously play against you with the kind of way that you have this year? I know you said you don't have excuses, but I'm sure it doesn't benefit going to that second game.
Yeah, fair question, Bryce. Does it work against us? I think. Look, guys, like this league is so balanced. There's really good players. There's really good coaches, and we play at a neutral site. And at the end of the year, and the only benefit you get is what color jersey you wear for where you finish. So I think it's way more about the matchup that you have in the tournament than it is about the duration of time in between games. Do I want to win them all? Yes. But I think for us, the mantra's got to continue to be process oriented. And if we are at a disadvantage, we are. Like, I don't think we wore out against La Tech. I think they played great, and I think we were playing lineups that haven't played much together. So I hope we don't have to do that again. But if we do, we'll figure out maybe be a little bit better than the last time because of what we experienced in Ruston.
Go back to some of the reserves, and we saw a stretch in Sam Houston where you let a lot of guys come in that haven't logged as many minutes, and Will Gibson comes in for the first time this year. Is it important for you to continue to do that, though, just to get those guys some reps and try to get them into a situation and see if someone emerges that can be a regular in the rotation?
Yeah, Nick. In a perfect world, absolutely. But when you're when the referees are there and you can smell the popcorn and like the game is going to be decided in the subsequent minutes, you're thinking about winning the game. So I think I gave them all a shot. Maybe not Curdy, but Xander, Will, Kai, they all got in over the weekend. Brett got in against La Tech. Gabriel's played. So we're trying to push some buttons. And it's limited us a little bit in practice because we've had to nurse some injuries, give some guys some rest. So it's not it's not the way we would want it or desire it, but again, like everybody's going through something right now. It's just, it's college basketball. So, but yeah, in a perfect world, I'd love to give those guys opportunities. And, for this age group, they turn the page fairly quickly. Once they see it go in, maybe they break through or do something that adds value to the given possession. I think eventually that'll happen.
I know freshmen playing in your system as early is rare. What do you want to see from Brett Decker to get him more minutes?
Freshmen playing in the system is
Freshmen playing in games because of your system.
Kyle Rhoda played. Darius McGee played. Shiloh Robinson played. Yeah.
Those are legends.
Well, I mean, who knows? Like Brett might end up being a legend.
So what is it about Brett that he can't and he's not getting the minutes?
Great question. It's very rare when I say that.
Soak that in.
Colin Porter and Caden Matheny are really good, and they really influence or enhance our chances to get the desired outcome. So he's playing behind two really good players. And then we have Taylor Peter, Javon Moffmer, who are also guards. So there's 4 guards right there that all of them have had at least 3 years of college basketball, some of them 5. And he got a ton of minutes when the score of the game was decided, but I just don't think quite yet he's going to be a better option than the aforementioned. But eventually he will. He's a really good player. Like, I love him. I've got great hope for his future in our program. I think he's really good.
You have the chance to do something special this weekend. I'm not sure if you know, but you're just shy of the Liberty wins record. You can pass it with 2 wins. Is that something you thought about? Something that did you even know was coming up? What's your approach to that?
Bill will remind me every once in a while. And any of those honors, like I look at them like when individual coaches are recognized for a Coach of the Year award. I just believe, like, if you saw the line of individuals that contributed to that accomplishment, like, you'd split that award or that acknowledgement in hundreds. Like, so I think it's a result of, number one, if and when it does happen, we've had an unbelievable amount of support from our administration. And I'll first start with, even, like, I was hired originally by Dr. Falwell and Jeff Barber, the second time by Jerry Jr. and Jeff Barber. And now I work for, I think, 2 of the finest people on the planet. Dr. Costin is absolutely fabulous. And Ian McCall, in my mind, is as good, if not the best AD in the country. And I love Pastor Jonathan. So I feel like we have an alignment, and I get the privilege of serving under those men. But then you look at all the players that believed in what we were dreaming about, that came here and stayed here. Like, I just think, even at the beginning, guys, we lost our first 13 Division I games. And for Georgie Pacheco-Ortiz and Anthony Fields and Ryan Hippler, like, and I'm going to not name them all because it would take us too long. And then we've had some great assistant coaches and support staff, even managers. So, Bryson, if and when it does happen, I know it'll be my name, but I won't see it that way. And I've never set out to do that individually. Like, I just wanted to be a part of something that was bigger than myself. And doing it at a place like this is a really, really unique opportunity, because you get inspired by everyone that has a badge that is on campus here. Like, there's, whether it's in our campus security, our deans, our student body, like, there's a pursuit of excellence that I think we all draw from.
Do you think you can beat Dr. Costin one-on-one?
In what?
Right now, in basketball.
Are you thinking about doing a segment?
Yes.
He'd be a difficult matchup, but I'm pretty confident in my ability to to be able to post them up.
Okay.
I mean, I saw the way you were shooting the ball in Seattle. I mean,
Well, Nick, I'm glad you brought that up.
Oh, gosh, get out the tape.
How has UTEP challenged their opponents so far this year?
Yeah, they're number one in the country in turning people over. And number, I don't know, top 5 in the country at scoring off those turnovers. So obviously taking care of the ball will be paramount. Mexico State did it in their last game, and again, they beat us twice last year, so they'll come in here with a great sense of confidence and all that. So we'll have to do a good job of executing our system in order to hopefully have a chance to go 1-0.
every game's important, but just looking at the way this thing's playing out again, with the home records and how gaudy they are for everyone in conference, how much more emphasis does that put on every time you guys roll it out at home?
Yeah, fair, Nick. I think you always, when the season starts, you always think, all right, heck, if we can take care of home court, then this is what we got to do on the road. But we lost our first game in the conference at home, so a little bit behind the 8 ball there. I do think we've had some historical success in our building, and our guys have a sense of confidence. It'll be nice to have the students back. But like you guys, pressure is created when I think sometimes you overthink what your opportunity is. Like, we want to operate, if you will, in the prefrontal cortex, like that place where we imagine, where we're visionaries, where we've got great gratitude for the opportunity we have, but not in the amygdala where fear and anxiety take place. It's a neurological fact that anxiety and fear can't exist, and gratitude can't exist in the brain at the same time. So I hope our guys never see it as pressure. I hope we see it as opportunity.
Taylor Peter was somebody you mentioned during one of last week's games. Somebody who's really embraced his role coming off the bench. Looking up, he's not somebody who came off the bench a lot. Can you take me back to whenever you first saw him and first encountered him, the transfer portal? What was it about him that maybe thought that you felt like he was going to embrace a role like that? Because it may be a lot to ask of somebody.
Yeah, no, good eval. Like, it's hard to keep him on the bench now. Like, not only because of how well he's playing, but how much he's in my ear. No, I'm just kidding. He really is selfless. I think his recruitment was odd. I was watching TV. Some game was on. I think it was after our season was over because we were done. And Jason Aker from Oklahoma Baptist called and said, "Hey, have you looked at this kid? He's in the portal." And so I was in bed with Julie on the computer, and I just Googled his name and looked at his highlights. I said, "Dang, he's pretty good." And called him up. Like, usually our assistants will kind of make the first call, and I called him up, and we started talking, and he made me laugh. That dude, he can make anyone laugh. And so I told him to do his homework on Liberty, and he didn't. He didn't call me back the next day, so I called him. He was leaving for spring break, and when he got back from spring break, I was in Arkansas doing a visit, because by then I had enough time to kind of vet the people around him that have done life with him, and the theme was common: selfless, incredible teammate, hard worker, winner, and I'd heard that enough times to make sure I was there when he came back.
Talked about your assistants a little while ago. There's a former assistant still helping you out, right? Jason Aker.
Yeah, Coach Aker is he's always helping out, whether I want it or not.
Ed, you got anything?
Yes, if you guys have a moment for one more.
Ed, we got to be on it. We got to be on the air in 15 minutes, bro.
Yes, we do. TikTok. Appreciate it. You touched a lot, Richie, about the even-keeled nature of this team. How much have you noticed that, even in the early going of Conference USA, their personality being a fit for what clearly is born itself out to be a pretty balanced league, where it would seem like it's an asset to be even-keeled, given that it's a grind night in and night out?
Well, I think, Ed, I think it's probably beneficial for all of us to not get too high or not get too low. I think the cards that we're dealt throughout our day, throughout our week, throughout our months, sometimes aren't the ones that we want. So I hope that our guys see it modeled in our coaching staff and the people that they trust in their lives. And I think there's an expectation or standard for us that we make sure we stay away from just being defined by our performance or an outcome. And I think that might take out the sting or the indictment a little bit if it's not going your way. But I think the short answer to your question is, like, we really try and advocate for our guys to be responders. I think you're always in a situation where you can add value or there's room for betterment if you respond as opposed to react. And it's something that we try and emphasize, and like, our guys do such a good job of it. I think they teach us, the adults in the room. So I hope that continues to evolve and develop, because I think it's beneficial to have for being a husband, a father, a friend, and a brother.